and everything decided to crash one after the next on me. So that was the highlight of today. But it seems like we figured out why things crash. And if anybody is curious for live streaming, OBS just sucks. If you have multiple things or trying to do multiple things at once, sometimes I think something with their encoding overwrites each other, and then it just turns up to be a black screen. So I know my buddy Nick, I'm gonna have to ask him more about this if he chimes on here. Maybe he can give us a little tidbit of how he does it.
Yeah, I'm very interested to know if anyone has any recommendations. Please leave them for us in the comments. We're curious as well.
Yes.
So, all learning here together, which is a nice experience. It's a nice community-based trial by fire here. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I'm picking my nose or scratching my nose. Okay. Whoops. Oh.
Where can we see comments?
So I have it up. I'll keep an eye on it. There's a bit of a lag. On right now, we're still talking about the pop, so I will just keep an eye on this.
Okay.
I can try to pull up live comments if that helps one of you, or we can just go on to the live stream.
I think we got it pretty much set up here. We'll just roll with it. We'll just learn as we roll. We'll fly as we fly by the seat of our pants here.
Okay.
So, hello to everybody who may not recognize my face or this lovely blonde lady with me here. My name is Hillary Stone, and this is my partner, Jessica Crutel. We'll have her introduce herself in a moment, too. We are Mystic Mitten Paranormal Group. We are a female-led paranormal investigation and real-life ghost hunting girl team. And Ryan, who you are familiar with, has done some work with us in the past. He's done some film and photo for us. And I think today we're going to use some of this time to kind of chat amongst the three of us, and then with anyone who might be watching, about an investigation we did back in October at the Michigan Theater.
So back in October, our good friends at Central Michigan Paranormal, Rusty, invited us along to go on an investigation with him at the Michigan Theater located in Jackson. There is surprisingly multiple Michigan theaters within Michigan, which is kind of silly. So we're going to be talking about that too. And we had the pleasure of having Ryan come along with us for the ride on that, as well as our good friend Erica too. We may see us talk about pretty often on Instagram. One thing too that I wanted to make an announcement of today, kind of following what everybody else is doing, just trying to give everybody who's at home, some sort of different entertainment, different things to keep our minds busy and our minds elsewhere too. It's really important. So we are going to be doing different live streams. I've already been doing different story times where I just read scary story books or whatever on our Facebook page, just other things to kind of keep it, keep the emotion going and just try to keep our minds on something a little bit more lighthearted. So Ryan, thank you so much for having us on here today.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you as well. It's been fun, and yes, as you were saying, I kind of, yeah, you girls rock it out when I go out. I love having just fun and adventures and things like that. So, I can't wait to hear more. I'm sorry, I'm still kind of like calming down from everything and trying to problem solve all of this stuff.
That's okay. You got a lot on your plate over there today. We appreciate you, being the man behind the curtain, the magic man behind the curtain in this scenario. So I'm just
the little Wizard of Oz, yes.
Yes.
I'm trying to find one other thing as we do this, so I'll let you girls kind of just talk it away. I'm still kind of gonna do my thing, but I know you had something in mind and mildly scheduled, so I'll let you run with that and just let the viewers kind of watch and interact. And if anybody has any questions for us or the girls, let us know in the comments. Once again, they're the leads of all this. They kind of take control. I just kind of have held a camera, I guess you could say, and chimed in with a couple things here and there. But I love working with you girls, and you guys, there's going to be a lot going on. So go ahead, take it away. I'm going to just kind of work on things on my end.
Well, another cool thing really quick before we dive too deep into anything, another fun thing that we got to do with Ryan that, like, you were totally, like, part of the gang of girls, and it became a mixed group as we went. But we got to go to Paracon
Oh, that was so much fun.
in Sault Ste. Marie, which was, you had fun doing that, right?
That was a blast. That I don't know. I got scared. I mean, it just went around. That's a whole nother story in its own.
That's a
Was an
whole nother
adventure.
conversation.
Oh, there's a
I
photo
can't
from
wait.
Paracon that I can't get out of my head still to this date.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be fun. We're starting up for anybody who, you know, I think this is probably the first official time we would have even talked about it. We are working on kind of a podcast audio project for Mystic Mitten. We're calling it the Mystic Mitten 18 Plus Radio Show. We'll be sharing some of our little graphic that we came up with probably. Maybe I'll post that on Instagram tonight, or I'll save it for tomorrow if I don't get to it today. But we're going to be recording as professional as possible podcast for the people who follow us. And if anybody new here might be interested in that too, come and take a look at our social media. We'll make sure that our links and everything get shared. We'll have Ryan help us with that. But I think it would be really fun for the three of us to have a whole discussion about Paracon and all the fun stuff that happened. There are so many goofy stories. So we should definitely make a date to sit down on our podcast and talk about our Paracon adventures too.
We haven't even shared that photo yet too, and that's kind of the best part. That like anytime somebody's like, "Oh, what's the scary thing that happened to you?" and I was like, "Hey, check this out."
We've been hiding it. We're not sharing it.
It happened to me, but I know the person who took this, and that's crazy.
It's not that we're not sharing it. We just haven't had it. It hasn't been the right time. There's so many things that we keep. We have this whole secret vault of our own personal ghost and ghoul photos.
Well, there's so much we record when we go through there. It's not like we can share everything, but yeah, I mean, seriously, like each one of us has probably like 10, 12 hours plus of like footage of just random stuff we've shot.
There's so much more too that goes on when you're actually there and in the scene, and that's why there's like, you know, so many people are out there that like are skeptics and don't believe in the paranormal, and that's fine. And you can't like totally make somebody completely change their views or whatever. If they're gonna believe that, they're okay to believe that. But there's so much that happens too, like, you know, like feelings, or you know, like you hear something that you don't necessarily catch, or you see something that you don't necessarily catch, like all of these different things that take place that you capture from just being there and in the moment.
Jessica, what's something that you would say, you know, because people always ask us, like, what's the difference between being an actual paranormal investigator and, like, what you see as far as paranormal investigation on, like, TV, like Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures? What's, like, one of the biggest differences, do you think?
Well, on the shows, you know, you're trying to clip it down to fit in like a 30 or 60-minute segment, but then you have to factor in all the commercials. So you're just getting like the highlights. But then there's probably some things too, like, you know, think of all of the cases that we've been on where there's been something that's like a little too personal that we don't even share it or talk about it just because it's too personal to reveal that to the general public. And we want to keep some sort of level of privacy with our clients. So you have to imagine that there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes than what you're seeing on television. But they add all of that spooky music and get it ramped up and, you know, conveniently go to a commercial at a cliffhanger. So when you're there in real time, there's a lot more of an emotional connect rather than just the entertainment value out of it.
I think there's a lot of things too, and even I was joking about this in a little post on Instagram that I made, just whatever, for the 4 people that follow me. But like, you know, it's so hard to catch things when they do happen. Like, you know, oftentimes something will happen and it'll like spook you a bit, and the last thing you think about is, you know, checking to make sure the camera's on, or, you know, even I'm sure Ryan can, you know, he's held the camera, you know, as a person who's not necessarily there to be a ghost hunter, at least right out of the gate. And like, you know, how hard that can be to like catch stuff or whatever, or to capture the full scope, the 5D experience that's happening, you know. So I think so much of that stuff gets, people don't even know, you know, the kind of things that can happen, you know, that are cool, or, you know, the little synchronicities, as we like to say, or the, you know, whatever little bonding moments that we have. But that's why it's so fun, and that's why I love doing what we do.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to get this to post the page. Going in there.
So you had me worried over there.
Do you want me to keep going? I'm sorry. Do you want me to give you a moment there, Ryan? Like,
No, I mean, keep going. I'm still trying to problem solve a couple things. Because everything that was working earlier is, like I said, going down one thing at a time. Now it's not letting me post into the page.
That's not a good progress update. That's not what these fine viewers want to hear. The nice 8 people who are watching us clearly. That's not the kind of you want to hear that everything is going great or like great.
Well, that's the thing. It would normally be going great. That's why I spent, 5-6 hours testing this out beforehand and multiple days going through and setting all this up. But now when I come to it and one thing crashes after the next, it's at some point it's out of my hands.
Oh my God.
And right
Our hearts go out to
Facebook's
you.
having an issue. It won't let me post. So I'm just not entirely sure. Everything's smooth though. Everything's actually going pretty good. Outside of that.
There we go. That's
excellent. Well, but I have to say too, this is going good just based on the fact that I'm happy to be here with you guys. I'm happy to be here with these people who are watching us, all of you watching at home from the comfort of your couch with your clean hands. I hope you've all been washing your hands, keeping, those fingers and those toes clean, not throwing your gloves in the street or, next to the cart corral at Meijer. Please don't be that person. I hope you haven't been that person. If you have, it's okay. This is your one warning. You won't get another.
Stephanie,
Not another.
you look good. So we're good. We got Stephanie's stamp of approval.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. Oh, and also, hello, Charles. I'm so excited to hear Charles and the Picassos acoustic set that is going to follow our conversation here. So please stick around if you find yourselves, if you're just joining the stream right now, hello, welcome. And make sure to stick around, or if you have to leave for some reason, if you need to run out and get a pizza, I understand. Just come back later and make sure that you check out Charles, because we love Charles. We've been trying to, I have been talking about trying to do some kind of collaborative video or project or something with Charles and the Picassos for a while now, and it has just never, the stars have not aligned yet, but I am taking this as our grand message from the universe that we're supposed to be working together, man. So we're all connecting here, and I'm like thrilled about it. So I'm jazzed on that energy. Let's keep that all going throughout the rest of through the live stream. Let's keep that going. So anyway.
Energy. Yes.
But we have got a lot of other ghost-related things to talk about, I'm sure, here. So, I find that in times of stress and turbulent transition, the easiest thing to talk about with other people to, like, change the mood or, like, switch up the energy or, like, change the topic of conversation away from politics or whatever is to talk about ghosts. And so, this is, like, the perfect platform to sit with you and talk about ghosts.
Just talk to people. Yep. See what experiences other people
so welcome. My name is Hillary. This is Jessica. Say hi.
Hello. Hi, Tony.
We are Mystic Mitten Paranormal Group. We're based out of St. Clair Shores, Michigan. Jessica's from St. Clair Shores, Michigan. She is a very responsible and involved member of her community. I am from right across the border on Roseville. I know. Don't judge. I love Roseville. Roseville is my favorite. So I love Roseville. I'm just barely a Roseville resident, but we are based out of Metro Detroit. And we do investigations for homeowners, business owners, all free of charge. Everything we do is kind of a learn as we work situation. We also make videos occasionally when we can for our YouTube channel. You can check that out by searching Mystic Mitten Paranormal, or I'm sure we'll figure out a way to share some links too. So it's so nice to be here with you guys. And we're going to be talking about our investigation last October at the Michigan Theater. So Jessica, why don't you tell us about the Michigan Theater?
So the Michigan Theater is a really amazing place, and we kind of picked up this topic again because Rusty with Central Michigan Paranormal Investigators just did a live stream where he went really in depth about the history. So, and I did share that on the Mystic Mitten Paranormal Facebook page too, so you guys can definitely go and head over to check that place out in a very in-depth historical point of view and hear some of their stories. Now, their crew has been investigating that building for multiple years, and they go every fall. And last fall, we were lucky enough to be the crew invited to take along for the ride. So Hillary, Ryan, and I, we packed up in the Mystic Mitten van and drove to Jackson. The weather was kind of yucky that night, so we'll get to that at the end.
The understatement of the century. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that is the understatement of the century. It was a nightmare. It was horrible.
There was like leaves blowing everywhere, branches blowing in the street while we're trying to drive home at like 5 o'clock in the morning. How long of a drive was that? Like 2.5 hours or something crazy?
It wasn't. I don't even remember, because it was the most white knuckle drive of my entire existence. I couldn't tell you, to be honest.
It was horrible. So anyway, so we go to Jackson, and we meet up with Rusty and his crew, which are really wonderful people, and they basically just kind of took us under their wings, and and getting to see their equipment versus ours. I got a hold of REM Pod, which is really exciting for any other paranormal investigators out there, anyone who knows what that is, but that was amazing that I got to see that and experience it and play with one in person, which is really cool. And Rusty has a ambulance that he's converted to like this like paranormal like watch party that like basically takes place while the investigation is going on. So while one crew is in and investigating, everybody else is chilling in this ambulance that's all decked out and has like the live cameras rolling, and it's just amazing. And Rusty, we met him back when we tried to explore Seven Gables, which was also a monsoon that night, so I'm not sure what's going on with that, but it was a lot of fun. Now this building's amazing because we were able to stand on the stage where Lucille Ball stood and the Three Stooges, and I mean huge big name performers, and we are standing on that stage and we have this theater to ourselves. I mean, there was one employee who was just checking in time to time to make sure that we were okay, and it was just truly incredible. You walk in and you're just awestruck because it's this beautiful giant building, and there's hardly anybody in it, and you have the whole place to yourself. So it was amazing.
Do you remember what they said? Like, because I don't even really remember like who the ghosts were supposed to be, or like what information they had about the ghosts necessarily, or if they had any. Do you remember?
So one of which was a caretaker whose ashes are actually kept within the building. So there is kind of like an apartment towards the top of the theater where like the caretaker would normally live and stay. And one of the past caretakers who did pass away, his ashes are kept within the building. There's also sightings of a little girl in white. However, when you're in a theater and there's so much emotion put onto that stage, and there's so much emotion shared by the audience and by the actors and by the orchestra, and all of that comes together, it's really hard for it not to leave some sort of impression on the building. So there's so many different things that can factor into it. And when we were kind of exploring like the basement and like kind of where the pit area is, and we're hearing what sounds like like a drum or a musical instrument or something like that, it's almost like it's just these little moments of time just snapped there, and they'll just constantly repeat there. But at the same time too, you have to factor in, if you are a theater person, you love the theater. And if I were to die, where would I want to go? I'd want to go somewhere that I would enjoy it, where I'd have fun, where all those memories of like the best moments of my life with the standing ovations. So it makes perfect sense to me why somebody who was in the theater life would want to still hang out in that area after they pass from this world on to the next.
I'm curious when Ryan's ready to chime in on this too, because I'm interested to see what Ryan remembers from this whole experience too, because we spent a considerable amount of time apart from each other too. And I don't think that we've ever actually like sat down and discussed as a group, or at least as the three of us, what either like the most interesting things were, or if anything happened while we weren't together too. So like I don't think we've ever even really like sat down and analyzed this whole situation. So this is like a totally like hot fresh take, like you're witnessing this is magic here. So
when we went in, we had our group of 4, so we kind of split. So Ryan and I kind of hung out in one area while Hillary stayed with Erica for the most part, and we mixed it up a little bit time to time. So we all had, different experiences take place while we were doing our own separate investigations between the 2 groups. But then towards the end there, we were able to partner together and kind of put on our own performance, and that's where, for me personally, things got really weird. But yeah, Ryan, what were your thoughts? I know that when we were downstairs, that area was definitely pretty weird, and we kept seeing this blur, like a whoosh, like a black whoosh in the hallway outside of the changing rooms.
Well, I mean, when I was down there wasn't I'm a skeptic as it is, so I'm always questioning everything at the same time. But I mean, I kept getting a lot of feelings when we were down there walking through everything, just things weren't like something was watching us as we were going through there. There's always that lingering feeling, which I mean can contribute to a lot of other things, in electrical boxes and whatnot for internal everything. It'll throw us off, but we had a couple of different readings, playing with some of the toys we brought down there. Some interactions that are kind of hard to explain because they were so consistent. There was one thing that stuck out above everything else, and this is outside of going to the very tip top and going into that hidden area, almost in towards the roof. That was really interesting, kind of freaky. That little bedroom up there.
It was weird.
Going all the way down to the basements, but oh yeah, then the sub basement that's down there that led to all the tunnelways within the city. I thought that was really interesting. Just everything's cemented off now, but it was just really cool to see that structure there. But the one thing that kind of stuck out to me that just kind of sits in the back of my head, because I remember a lot of that. It's still fresh on my mind. It was just I had a lot of fun, so it stuck with me, and I really enjoyed it. But one of the ladies that were there, I forget her name, but she was reading off her box, and it was just a voice coming through, and what's the radio box called again?
A spirit box?
Yeah, spirit box. Well, it was just a distinct man voice that would come through, and there were words that would chime in after each other, almost like someone knew how to communicate. And usually when you go through a spirit box, you'll hear blurts out of different voices, like one or a radio announcement or different pieces that don't always connect, but then you string together the pieces that actually do connect, and that's what I kind of take away as my paranormal experience, because I'm looking for clues to build up and kind of get this I guess summary of what I'm experiencing down. I'm just kind of trying to break it down in my own head and see what's
real,
or
looking
real.
For the connections. Yeah,
exactly. I'm just trying to break it down in my own head, trying to make sense of it all, and it's you get the 2 categories. It's this just seems like fluff, and then this just can't be explained, and that's kind of where we sit at with this. So that really caught my attention, and something that I took away from that investigation. Just a couple of conversation topics, going back and forth with the person, where they were answering your questions as you're asking them. The same voice, the same everything. It sends chills down my spine even right now. But that's my big thing from that. Hi, Linda. Hello. Hey, Jason. Oh, I see everybody chiming in. But yeah, tell me.
Hey, Linda. Woo! We were. Your ears must have been ringing. We were just talking about your group.
Oh, hey.
So one thing, about that whole, I was kind of I was in my own weird mood that day. I was having a horrible day myself, by no fault of anybody else. And so I was kind of in a weird mood, and nothing, I didn't have any kind of weird feelings. I didn't kind of any strange experiences. I didn't feel anything. I was totally missing it. I just felt totally disconnected from everything else, or from everybody else, and what they were experiencing, and I don't get it. I was also very distracted by the duct tape. I was really excited about the duct tape and learning how to use duct tape to attach a camera to a tripod. So immediately I was probably in my brain was left brain, right brain, it was a different processing. It was just different priorities, I think, partially. But and we had gotten to this point right before we were done, and like, at least for me personally, when we got into this kind of experiment or this performance, as Jessica referred to it earlier, I, was kind of ready to push something, to do something a little bit, not in like a, negative, or like like a Zach Baggins way necessarily, or like, come at me, bro, not like, come at me, ghost, hurt me, ghost, not like that, but like, really, wanting to get some kind of confirmation. And so what we ended up with, leaving as far as, go ahead.
Just going to interject real quick.
Yeah.
So before Hillary continues, when we were down below the stage, in that area, I heard kind of like some, I don't know, some sort of tapping or something coming from upstairs, and it sounded like running or something. So it sounded like someone was like coming from the back going towards the stage. And I ran upstairs to go look, and there, of course, there wasn't anybody. So Hillary and I, that was like the one moment where we had our own time to just sit. So we just sat. And at that time, I kept thinking that there was something on stage. I don't know. If I'm looking now, it was my right. So I think I have no idea. I'm not a theater person at all. I'm sorry.
We don't know the stage terminology. Sorry.
I kept feeling like there was like something back in this one corner, and there was a piano back there that.
No! Oh no. Well, hello, remaining audience. Wow. Just in the height of the story. Suspense for you. Get her back, because it's a really good story.
Okay, that was weird. Could you still hear me? I swore. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I think you're allowed to swear.
No, you cut out. It was fine.
I said
that.
I don't know what happened. That last second. It like almost shut down, but it didn't. Okay, Stephanie said, if you're on stage, it depends on which way you're looking. See, I told you, Stephanie's mad at me. Linda said the old orchestra area, so that's the area I'm talking about. We kept hearing shifting or almost like a settling coming from that area in that one specific corner. And then later in the night, that's when we decided to do our performance, if you will. So Hillary, you can go ahead and pick it back up.
Oh, well, and I really just segue into this by noting that you have described this experience as probably the most terrifying experience for you of all time. And that's an interesting thing, because I don't think that we really have any like tangible evidence of like what happened, but you and I had such an intense that like it blew my mind. So do share why this was what and why was so terrifying. What is scare?
People will ask us, like, oh, do you ever get scared? And I'm like, no, this is fine. This is nothing. Like, I'm a haunted house actress. Like, I'm used to staying in the woods by myself till 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, this is nothing. And what I experienced that night, like, I honestly can say that I was terrified. I was so scared. So to explain what we did is we were practicing the Estes method, which is essentially I'm listening to the spirit box with noise canceling headphones, and I'm sitting on the stage. Now, I am the only person on the stage. I'm sitting on the stage. I was originally sitting with one leg crossed over the other, and then I realized I could feel the floor vibrations. So I decided to put both feet flat on the ground so I could sense if someone was coming. So when you're listening to the spirit box, it's flipping through radio stations wicked fast. And it's really, really loud. It's the only thing you can hear. All of your other senses are kind of wonky. And I'm wearing a blindfold. And the blindfold that I'm wearing is like one of those, like, basically like sensory deprivation by blindfolds, like the eyebrows that it's called. I can't see anything. The only thing I can hear is this spirit box that's really, really loud. And I told Hillary when we're done, come tap me on my shoulder to get me out of this, because sometimes if you're sitting in there and you get so zoned in, when somebody comes to tap you out, it's the scariest thing ever, because you get jumped because you're startled, so your body just shakes. And as I'm sitting there, I'm hearing these, like, I get anxious and I hear this loud brrr, like it sounds like music blaring through the radio, but it's like all orchestra instruments. So it's like, you know, like brass instruments, and there's like a violin, and it's like very big band and loud music and very orchestrated. It's not, you know, like Lady Gaga or whatever's on the radio at that time. And it would always get really loud and amplify when I was like getting stressed. And I don't really get like that anxious, like anxiety, uncomfortableness. And then I start like feeling vibrations in the floor. And I thought it was crazy. And then I realized that the vibrations were going with like what sounded like footsteps coming through the speakers. And honestly, like it was like I was being hunted. Like there was a pack of coyotes surrounding me, and I'm just sitting there and I'm fresh bait, and they're coming to get me, and they're like circling me, and I just hear it keep coming from that same corner of the stage where that orchestra area is, and the footsteps keep getting louder and louder, and the music's getting louder and louder, and I am stressed as hell, and I'm just like, it's okay. I'm trying to tell myself, I'm like, it's okay. I want this. Like, I am doing this. Like, it's okay. Nothing's going to hurt me. Like, I want it to touch me. Jessica, you're being a pansy. Like, snap out of it. And it was just all of these different things kind of like queuing in all at once that just made me so stressed and genuinely terrified. And then at one point, I feel like I was wearing like a hoodie, because there wasn't heat on, you know, and it's October, so it's kind of chilly. I'm wearing a hoodie, and I feel my hoodie on my sleeve get pulled, like right in this like general area here. And I feel like another tap on my leg, but I kept expecting, you know, as these footsteps are coming up, I'm like, oh, it's Hillary. And it was never Hillary. And then like I felt like another nudge like on my leg, and I thought it was like kind of like the cord from the headphones, and I followed where the cord from the headphones was and realized it was nowhere near where I felt something kind of run on my thigh a little bit. So eventually, all said and done, Hillary does come give me like a true oh my god moment when she taps me out of it, because we initially had set a timer and we ended up going completely past that. So I'm sitting on the stage and everybody else is just sitting in the auditorium watching this, you know, performance happen essentially. So Hillary, what was going on while I was behind these earphones and blindfolded?
Unbeknownst to Jessica, because she's under sensory deprivation or in this you know, isolated state, I was sitting on the other end of the stage the whole time, trying to get essentially entice somebody to touch Jessica, have whatever spiritual entity was joining us in that moment touch Jessica and have her respond. So she couldn't hear what I was saying. We had a considerable amount of distance between each other, and I was nowhere near her, and we had this whole little audience in front of us. And I was asking, you know, I think that the part that blew my mind the most, it was obvious to me that I was having a conversation with somebody who was poking around Jessica. Because when I would say certain things, and we have some audio recording to still go through of it and share, at least we'll find a creative way to share this because it's so interesting. You kind of have to take our word for it because there's no video of it, or at least not video of it close up, so we can see, you know, actual movement of anything. But
I think in the recordings, I want to say that on the ride home, we were going through the footage, and on my little Sony camera, we zoomed in, and I think we did see a piece of Jessica's hair or something move when she got hit that time, or touched at the end.
All right, well, you got to go through that for us, and you got to send it to us so we can look at it and share it with all these nice people who are now into it too and want to see it.
I remember going over it on their way home, but don't completely hold me to it. I need to bring it back up one more time.
We were also literally driving through a monsoon, so there was, I know it's okay. But so what I was doing was having this conversation. I realized I was having a conversation with somebody. And so I wanted to see if I could have them touch a place on Jessica and have her respond. And the moment that blew my mind, this is probably, I don't think we'll ever top this, but I always say that. I think the most interesting and mind-blowing moment so far for me of all the investigations is when I said, touch her right here. And I motioned right over here. I didn't say touch her left arm. I didn't say touch her arm. I didn't say anything. I said touch her right here. Give her a pat right here. Come on. I was kind of speaking like that, like, please, please, just not entertain me. I respect the, whatever the effort. But like, I was like, oh my God, this is going to happen. And Jessica goes, whoo, and puts her arm up and touches right in that spot. So if we have a video where there's a little pull of sweatshirt, when I say, or whatever I asked for, it was the exact spot, the exact motion I had made, exactly where I requested her to be poked, is where she had that pull. And she didn't know that we had asked for that until she came out of the headphones and we'd packed up. She didn't know any of that. So that was a truly mind-blowing experience that I don't know that we'll be able to, like, prove, like, people want us to necessarily, but that was, I don't even care about that anymore. I really don't even care. I'm so much more focused on us having fun and having these connections and, sharing these exciting little moments and how we feel about it than like proving anything anyway. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that's how I feel about it.
But then like the other part too that is worth mentioning is like the whole time, like Hillary and I, we totally get each other. So Hillary knows that I'm okay with this. I've had my hair pulled. We've caught it on camera, and it was the best day of my life. I was like, oh my God, a ghost touched me. I got it on tape. This is amazing. Like, I am all for it. But for whatever reason, I was just like, I was so stressed and so scared. So like Hillary's like, it's okay. No, she's totally fine with this. Go touch her. She wants this to happen. But that's why I felt like I was being hunted. Not that they were malicious. Not they were evil spirits or anything. But I personally fully believe that they knew I was scared. And they were like, oh, but this girl's saying that this is okay, but she doesn't look okay. Like, should we just do it? I guess we'll just do it and see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, that's why they kept getting closer. That's why I felt like I was being hunted, because they were circling me. And every single time it was getting closer and closer and moving in and more in. And then, like, eventually when I was like, after I did feel that sweatshirt tug, I was like an entirely different person. I was back to my normal me. I'm like, oh my God, that was amazing. I think somebody just pulled my sweatshirt. Like, so it really goes to show too, like the different, like, the different bond really that Hillary and I have. The fact that they were able to use her as a tool to kind of understand how I was genuinely really feeling, and not this like fake me where I was getting, like scared, like, like when you're watching a horror movie and the music gets all dark and you're like, oh, something's going to happen. That's exactly how I felt. But when it did, it was fine. None of this was negative by any means. It was just under the circumstances where I felt like genuinely I was being hunted is what I truly felt like, which is comfortable when you're in that position.
Well, I think, and this is just my personal opinion, but I think that some of that feeling, if we're to compare this to an encounter with an animal, and Jessica knows a lot about animals, so we use a lot of like animal metaphors and trying to create these, I don't know, connections or examples or things to help describe. But so there's a kind of a predatory feeling, and that doesn't mean that. I think that just really speaks to, like, if you were encountering like a bear or something in its natural habitat, that would be kind of a, you want to be respectful and not screw up, because you could get hurt, or it could be, it's an unknown, unpredictable situation. And I think that really just speaks to how much energy there was in that place, or at least there is. So if that's one person or if that's multiple people or whatever, it seemed like in the moment, in my opinion, that was one person. But, there was so much going on in that moment that I did not, I don't think I gave as much credence to a lot of, paranormal accounts or reports or things like that, where people are experiencing such intense energy, like that, until we started having experiences like that. And then, I fell down my whole other rabbit hole, which is a conversation for another day. But like this stuff really happens, people. It really does.
So then shortly after that, we wrapped up the night, and it was kind of like end on a high note. And at that point, it's like almost 5. No, it was like 2 or 3. Yeah, because we ended up getting home at 5 o'clock in the morning. So it was probably about like 2:30-ish. a.m. with like another 2.5-ish hour drive home in a monsoon. So at that point, well, there was our cute animal for the night. She just barked. So at that point, we started packing up and drove home. And when I say that it was a monsoon, I mean like there are giant tree branches flailing all over the road. You can't tell where the freeway is. Like, you know, when like Michiganders and Midwesterns, you understand when there's no lines and there's like all bets are off because of the snow. It was like that, but with leaves, which was really kind of scary too because the leaves get slick. So it's raining, it's windy, you can't tell where the road is. It was a very terrifying drive home.
It was horrible. It was horrible. It was horrible. It was horrible. Okay. Linda says, I had a feeling when coming back up from the dressing rooms by the stage. I felt like I had to hurry and tuck my butt away, LOL. And then she also says, you know, like when you try to get your body away from a threat. That's exactly. Yes, I totally understand. Totally know what you're talking about. That was my second time there and had never felt that before. Yeah, you know, and that was one of those things, like, I don't think that, like, Jessica, would you say you say you wouldn't feel threatened? So it wasn't like a threatening thing, it was just intense. Intense is a word I like to use. Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like when I was sitting there, my mind kept going to these weird places where I felt like I was like being hunted. Like I was a meek little bunny rabbit and there's a pack of coyotes and they're getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And then it finally happens. And then when it did, I was like, oh my God, Jessica, you're such an idiot. That's exactly what we wanted. This was amazing. Like you were just touched. Like this is fine. But it was just that whole place though. It's so atmospheric that like you can't really describe it unless you are there. Like you can't put words to it unless you've been there. Like, so our friends who invited us there, they understand. Like Linda totally gets it. She knows what we're talking about, and Cassie and Rusty. But like, it was just, it's just a really weird place. So like looking back at it, I'm like, I wasn't in any danger. It's not like I came out with scratches or I was burned or anything. But like I just was genuinely terrified. But that's why it was keeping its distance, because it knew I was scared. It was sensing that I was afraid. It wanted to come talk to me, but it didn't want to scare me. And
Right.
in the sense of not wanting to scare me, it was scaring me. So
Yeah.
it was very interesting. We've never experienced anything like that before.
Dead air. Dead air.
It's almost
dead air. Ryan, how are we doing on time, Ryan? How much longer do we have to talk about spooky things with these wonderful spooky people?
Oh, I mean, continue going. My camera decided to stop working again, so I don't know what to do anymore with that. It's kind of ruining this entire setup. And I am just not gonna worry about my own stream because it's not. I don't know. But I don't know. That I'm just trying to fix that right now. You can continue.
Okay,
talking.
so you want to sampling?
I think Charles should be ready here about soon. I haven't heard directly from him. He was still working. But he should be about ready. Let me get back to him and then.
Okay. Go check in with Charles. We'll wrap this up here. We'll plug our stuff and entice these viewers into following us and coming back for more. And we've got more. I mean, a million stories. We just have to sit down and record them, and we've got all kinds of videos on YouTube if you want to watch them. What else do we have to plug, Jessica?
Well, right now, Stephanie wants to know about what tools we use.
Okay.
A little bit of everything. Everything and anything that we can think of. Sometimes we'll like make our own things. But like even basic things like flashlights, thermometers, the K2 meter, which reads electromagnetic fields. That's really useful too, because you can get like a general sense of the building that you're in, and look for any other like normal reasons as to why there could be something paranormal going on. So the equipment is really quite across the board, and you can go as smaller as advanced as you want it to be. And it's ever changing too. So it's really exciting. And Linda wants to know, Ryan, about a picture with both groups together. He's busy right now, so we'll take that one back up. One more thing too, just let you guys know, Hillary already mentioned the radio show that we're working on. We're just trying to put together all sorts of different projects to keep ourselves entertained and motivated, but at the same time, give you guys something entertaining or interesting to help kill your time. So if you have any other questions, we're going to be dropping. So we're going to be posting on our Instagram and on our Facebook page too. So if anyone has any questions or topics that you want us to talk about, because Hillary and I are going to be doing this on our own channels going forward too. If you have any paranormal related questions, or you want our opinion on something, or you even just want to generally tell a story, just give us that information in advance, so that way we'll add it down to our little note page here to make sure that it gets covered. We'll also be doing our best to check the comments as well. So thank you guys so much for chiming in. We genuinely hope that you guys are all doing well and that your families are safe. And hopefully this gave you guys something entertaining to do on a Monday night. Our good friend Charles is going to be coming in with some music soon, so please stick around for that. And we're all doing our best to keep you guys happy, genuinely. So Hillary's dance move. Ryan, you should keep her on the stage so she can do interpretive dance.
You know what? She just got promoted. Look at that.
Mark wants to know, what is the price of equipment? Well, we are two broke girls, so we don't have very expensive pieces of equipment.
You know what, though, to be totally honest, Jessica, I'd say the most expensive piece of equipment we have, though, is the project that never ends, is the Twilight Zone spirit box that never ends, that keeps just all the little parts we have put in. It's the spirit box project that is essentially kind of an amplifier, or a receiver in a way. I don't know, that's probably not the right word. But a amplification device for a variety of different spirit box and other sweep function technology, without getting too into the jargon or into the weeds here. But I probably dropped about, and I don't even want to tell anybody because I don't want anybody to know how irresponsible I am with money in my life. But I think we probably sunk at least $500 in that puppy, at least so far, and it's not even really done, but I'm trying to get it operational. So that's probably the most expensive piece we have. The other goofy expensive thing we have is this Boo Buddy trigger object bear, and he was, we like him, he's cool, but he was way more expensive than justified, honestly, truly. But that's a teddy bear that says creepy things to try and get ghosts to talk to it, by the way, in case you're wondering. So but
know, do we have any future investigation plans post quarantine?
The whole world is up in the air right now, and I think that we don't. It's what do we even plan? There are we can come up with things on the fly. There's this secret. I'm not even going to tell you where it is because I don't want anyone else to find out about it or go try anything with it. There's the secret place we've been meaning to go check out that I think the minute we know we're allowed to be together and be in the car together, we're going to zoom over there and then we'll tell you.
Yeah, exactly. So we have all sorts of little tiny projects going on that a lot, obviously everything outside of doing what we're doing right now is basically put on pause until who knows how long. So a lot is definitely up in the air, and we hope that obviously things get back to normal soon, because Hillary and I miss each other, and we miss people, we miss our friends.
we miss planning events.
I know. Exactly. So there's a lot for us to do. Linda wants to know about the light thing that Rusty has. She doesn't know the name, but text anything near it. Yep, that's. Oh, hi, Rusty. Rusty, we've been talking.
Rusty's here.
Past
about you a lot. You're late. No, I'm just kidding. But you can catch up and hear all the wonderful things we said about you.
Oh, and then we gotta go see the prison.
Yes, we do have to go back to, yes.
We only got to see it, though, but that's okay. It was still one of those, this is a really spooky place. We can go look at it.
That was cool. Rusty said there's a haunted antique store that we need to go back to, but we need to be quiet about it, so I'm not going to say anything else about it.
Quiet about web. She voiced it to the world.
If there's anybody, we're going to be catching up on our messages. We're going to be catching up on YouTube comments, all of those little organizational tasks. So please, if you have any recommendations for haunted antique stores, places like that once the quarantine period is over, we can go check out, please send us a message. If you have any questions, you can also send us a message too. And if we owe you a message, we'll be getting to you, I promise. If you're watching this, we'll be getting to you, I promise. So.
Awesome.
That's about all I have to say about that at this time.
Great.
Well, I wish I had presenting the spookiest and skeletaliest band we know.
That's amazing.
Skeletal string.
Linda says you're not giving out any secrets. Everyone knows that place is haunted.
All right, Linda.
Are we gonna go on standby real quick and then I'm gonna Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Please stick around and enjoy the spooky, haunting music. Thank you.
Perfect timing. Bye.
I kind of got a weird contraption here. I want to make sure everything sounds okay for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Is it too much? Too little? Can you hear that there's a tambourine involved?
A little bit, yeah. I like that.
Okay.
It sounds. I mean, it sounds pretty good. There's a little bit of
Just
echo at the
enough?
end. I don't
Okay.
know if that's purposeful, but it sounds.
Yeah,
Good.
I got some reverb on my stuff, so.
That's great. Yeah.
Cool.
It sounds pretty
Okay.
clear, actually, even on my side, and I'm going through a couple different speakers.
Rad. Okay, I'm glad.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna mute myself, and then I'm about to get you on.
All right.
Cool.
Are you gonna do any like introduction thing, or just have at it?
Yep. I'm gonna do a little introduction.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Hillary was kind of like a bigger introduction, but I'm gonna do another introduction, just kind of like.
I mean, that's very nice. Thank you.
Welcome. My video's not working right now, so it's just all audio right now. Everybody can just see the loading screen. Hello, everyone. This is Charles with thePicassos.
Hello.
Yes, and some death folk.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Love it. You are good.
Thank you.
This is the end of all your pain, and then pretend we will meet again. This is more scary than stories in the dark. They haunt all your mind and they tear you apart. Curious moments about love and hate. How far will you run? And what will it take? And cameras and rolling, it's all that you know.
sounds okay for everybody? I hope. I can't tell.
Yeah, it sounded good.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. This is a little unorthodox. I don't do these kind of things, so at least not to a computer these days. So
I know you're kind of just playing to an empty audience, but actually, honestly, you're playing for a good dozen of people right now.
audience of one. It's like you're my AI. You're just giving me good feedback. It's very cool. So this one, I guess I'll go into some. We're just gonna get right to the death stuff. So it's called Memento Mori. Remember, you will die.
Grave diggers lament when all heaven sent was loaded guns and the lonely ones. All I have was my whole pack, one hat home to call my heart. Above the ground, never making a sound. They find no words no one ever heard. They'll toss and they turn, but they'll never learn. After all, we are staying in the ground. No one sheds a tear when the lights can't be found. As you raise in your hands to the sky, as you wait, but your last breath of air is all you will get. Oh, 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 oh. Your last breath of air is all you will get after.
Thank you. Alright. So, I mean, I get told that I'm too cheery. There's just too much happiness in my music, so I should maybe tone it down. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to give people the wrong impression or anything. I don't want them to think, But yeah, so I normally have more people with me, but for the record, I used to always just do it on my lonesome. So the skeleton band is just the skeleton of what a band would be. So and this is an old classic. This is in fact very in line with our spooky compatriots with the ghost stories and such. That's gross. Yeah. So hold on to your spirit boxes because this one's a seance. This is about a haunted house.
I shared my house with a ghost, so I don't feel like I'm alone. Just some strange specter watching over me. Personal phenomenon. Have you seen the bottom of the well? The falling face lost between heaven and hell. If walls could speak now, would they cry? The things that they have seen, the ones who have died, the ones who passed have words to say. Shout out your final resting place. Scare me to sleep. Chill me to the bone. Fill me with dread. The dread
What a cozy Monday. All right. I think somebody said something about skeletons in the chats there. There I go. Oh, I'm sorry?
You got some fans in the comments, definitely feeling this.
Aw, aw. Well, please, you know, like and subscribe. You know, you can find our pages. Maybe you'll find more you like. I don't know. This is a song about skeletons. It's called X-Ray Specs. And just snap along.
I sent away for X-ray specs in a comic magazine. You broke a bone or stubbed your toe and you could come to me. I could see what's wrong with you just by peering at your insides. Looking at your beating heart to see if you have my just take a look inside me. Just take a look at what you see. Just take a look inside me. Just take a look at what you see. Like what you see. And we're just two skeletons falling in love. And we're just two skeletons falling in love. And we're just two skeletons. If I had my X-ray specs, well, I could see through walls. I use this sixth sense of mine to save you from high falls. I take a peek inside your mind and see what haunts your dreams. I hope this helps you understand nothing is as it. Just take a look inside me. Just take a look tonight, what you see. Just take a look inside me. Just take a look tonight, what you see. Like what you see. And we're just two skeletons falling in love. And we're just two skeletons falling in love. And we're just two skeletons. Just take a look inside me. Just take a look tonight, what you see. Just take a look inside me. Just take a look tonight, what you see. Like what you see. Maybe. And we're just two skeletons falling in love. And we're just two skeletons falling in love.
How many folks we got out there? Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on, if you can still hear me. This has been a rare treat.
Pleasure having you on, especially, I mean, during these times. We're passing the time, we're entertaining some people, we're having fun, we're expanding our networks and just everything else. I love it. It's just connecting people in the time when we're all disconnected and stuck to ourselves. So
I know it's a weird time.
it is. It really is. You know.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
We're all getting by some way, somehow. You know, we all got something that we're doing in our downtime, or looking forward to at least. You know.
I mean, I hope you know people put forth, they pick up the things that they don't normally do.
Or
You know, so that's one of the nicest things.
yeah. I mean, this is a time for all kinds of things. You know, take time for yourself, or work on that project you've been talking about, or do that thing that you said you wanted to do. So, yeah. But glad to have you on. Glad to be able to put this together. It was kind of a collaboration of a couple other minds mixed into one, and then just one thing after the next, and I ended up having to take over. So I'm glad I did.
Well, I'm glad you did. Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
Doing this every Monday until we're able to go out of our houses again, and who knows, maybe I'll continue on from there.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like this kind of opens the gateways that you can do stuff like this and have it be pretty, you know, earth-changing.
I mean,
here,
imagine
so.
like this kind of setup in the future, like when we're able to have gatherings and everybody's able to have their own personal setup done, and
Yeah.
it's just going to expand from there. You know, it's like, why wasn't this already going on? I'm sure it was somewhere, but I mean, like,
Little
now's
bit.
the time. So
Oh, yeah. I mean, invention. Desperation is the soul of invention, or something like that. How's that go? But yeah, here we are, trying new things. So,
glad to have you a part.
yeah. Well, thank you. I don't know how many more you'd like me to do.
I mean, by all means, continue going. How much more would you like to do? Jessica and Hillary were thinking about chatting sometime afterwards, if you want to, or even
Sure.
on the stream, so that everybody else can kind of chime in with us.
Please,
Some
yeah.
late night stories, if everybody's down. I don't know if the 8 of you watching want that, but if you do, let us know.
Yeah.
Leela Roberts, hello. I haven't talked to you in forever. Shot her wedding. Well, until we
yeah.
get some responses, I guess continue on. Let's hear it. I'm definitely
Gotta-
enjoying hearing you.
I appreciate. I'm gonna see what I can get out of the hat here. Yeah. We'll do one about serial killers now. We're gonna just go the whole spooky gambit.
Let's do
So,
it.
all right.
Stage is yours.
Thank you for listening.
As you put your hand in mine, you swear we've been together for all time. Together as one against all others. Doesn't matter whose blood, so long as we have each other. When you asked if I would dance with the devil in the moonlight, no one could harm you if you were to me tight. The places that you looked upon tonight. When we both reached for the night, you swear it wasn't for my spite. You keep your hands at the level of your eyes, waiting on someone to creep up behind. You keep the noose around your neck looked upon tonight.
Well, we might try something new. This is the time for experimentation, I imagine. So. This is a little bit inspired by working in the deaf industry. It's brand new. Nobody's heard it. Tomorrow comes drop something. Thank you. Yeah. I don't know what more I have in me.
It's okay. I'm waiting to hear back from
Yeah.
Hillary because I think.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, okay. Everybody kind of disassembled, so let's see.
Oops.
Hillary said she might be able to get on, but actually.
Yeah, I mean, whatever works for y'all.
Yeah, do we want to have like a separate meeting where we can kind of like just to figure some things out, I guess. Or have a
Okay.
separate podcast. I don't know.
Yeah.
She's talking to me about different ideas. And I was like,
Whatever works, I'm down. If it's talking paranormals, I mean.
yeah, it seems like she's done for the night, so we'll probably save it
Okay.
for another time. But we'll definitely be in
That's cool.
contact, you and I. And all of us.
I'd love that. Yeah.
If you want to be
Well.
on for next week, we can get next week going. Let's see, where's my... There we go, I'm back on. Kind of still have a spot now.
What's that?
How long have you been playing?
I've been doing this or that for was in like high school marching band and all that, so that probably is what prompted music exploration. So like a while, a few years, maybe a couple months, I don't know. But so it's been a bit. It's been a bit. I don't like to think about it too much. But yeah, a little while.
Good, glad to have you around on that. Like your little decals too.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's I mean, you gotta. I mean, what represents better than the Ouija board at this point? I mean,
Exactly. In lots of ways.
you gotta know. People gotta know what you're about.
I'm sitting here and I was drinking my Deadpool coffee.
Rad. I'm nursing a ginger beer tonight.
Nice. Which kind?
This is the Gosling with the seal on it. I don't love it, to be honest. I'm not gonna product placement. They're not gonna care. But I like the I forget the name. It's a good brand though. But yeah, I'm a ginger beer aficionado, and I only know 2 brands.
So you have to play another one, or are you good to go for
I could do one more. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking about it because I could do one about vampires, or I could do one that actually I wrote this years and years ago. Probably one of the first songs I wrote. Actually, it is definitely one of the first songs I wrote. But I've reimagined it a little bit. I wrote it during. Remember that blackout? No, that's not true. I had a blackout. We had a power outage. That's why
actually,
I wrote.
at that time I was in Oklahoma, so I had no idea of that until I moved up here.
It wasn't that long ago. I shouldn't say that. It was after the fact, but it just so happened that our neighborhood was out of power for a couple days. So
something like that. Are you talking about like more recently where we were?
This was a couple of years, maybe like 7 years, 5 years, 6, something like that.
Okay.
It wasn't that long ago, but long enough. So that dates me a bit. So but we're all immortal, in our own right. So
A vampire song.
This is not a vampire song, but I guess everything is vampire related in a weird way. Well, this is called Candlelight, and it's a little bit different these days. So I'll probably close out with this. So thank you all for listening. I appreciate it. Please check us out at Picassos. You can get my Linktree link and go to all those places, wherever you want to be.
I don't know if you see the screen. I actually have it posted on the screen for you.
I see that. I do see that. Thank you. That is explicit. Perfect. But yeah, I will be. You can find me on all the medias, usually just at Picassos. There's no space between the and the P. This will be it for me, so thank you. We'll see you again. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Alright, well, thank you very much. That was a pleasure to listen to. Let's get these back up. Try to get my stuff back in working. Here we go. Oh, thank you. That works. And I am trying to get my video back. Hey, there we go. Perfect. Cool. Well, that was all we have for tonight. Hopefully we get some more requests for next week. Hopefully we can get some other people onto this